So I'm working out of the OpenStax statistics book in chapter 2. We're going to do the homework number 104. So I have an Excel spreadsheet here, and here's the question. So a music school has budgeted to purchase 3 musical instruments. They plan to purchase a piano costing $3,000, a guitar costing $550, and a drum set costing $600. The mean cost for a piano is $4,000 with a standard deviation of $2,500. The mean cost for a guitar is $500 with a standard deviation of $200. And the mean cost of drums is $700 with a standard deviation of $100. Which cost is lowest when compared to other instruments of the same type, and which cost is highest when compared to other instruments of the same type? So what this is really asking us to calculate actually is the z-score of each one of these situations. And the z-score is calculated by taking the value of x minus the mean divided by the standard deviation. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a little comparison chart. So we have the piano, the guitar, and the drum. And so we just want to note all the information about them. We've got the cost, we've got the average cost, and then we've got the, I'll just call this standard deviation. Okay, so let's just reorganize all this information. So the piano cost $3,000, the guitar was $550, and the drum was $600. Now the average cost of a piano was $4,000 with a standard deviation of $2,500. The average cost for a guitar was $500 with a standard deviation of $200, and then the mean cost of the drums is $700 with a standard deviation of $100. Okay, so you can kind of tell in some ways, and just by looking at this, and let me just center all this because, you know, I'd like it to look nice. Okay, so you can tell just by looking at this that the guitar, right, is higher than the average cost, it seems. So this guitar probably doesn't seem like the lowest cost. And then you have the piano and the drums. These are both below that average cost, but you need some sort of way to really classify why are these better deals. And so the way to do that is by calculating the z-score. So the z-score is discussed in the chapter. But so what we're going to do is we're just going to write a little formula that we can drag. So I've got the cost of each item minus the average cost. Now make sure you put parentheses around that. That's supposed to be the whole numerator of your function. And then you're going to divide that by the standard deviation. Okay, and so now that I've written one z-score formula, so we've talked about all these things with dragging in other parts of Excel. So you can see here now I've got these z-scores. And this is the part that's pretty important, is now you have to know how to interpret this. So the z-score is measuring how many standard deviations away from the mean you are. So when the z-score is negative, that means you're below the mean. And when the z-score is positive, like we are here, that means you're above the mean. Okay, so that part probably makes sense. And like we said, we already could tell the guitar was, this cost is greater than average, so it probably wasn't the best deal. But now we have this backed up by our z-score. And the z-score goes a little bit farther now in talking about how great of a deal that this is in relative to everything else. So this piano is 0.4 below so 0.4 standard deviations below the average cost, versus this drum is 1 standard deviation below the average cost. So in terms of which is more extreme, the drum is a better deal than the piano. That's what this is getting at. So this is going to be our lowest cost, and the highest is going to be this one. And so that's the answer.